Now, from Wish TV, this is The Zone Extra, presented by Franciscan Health Sports Medicine. Coming up tonight, a busy winter calendar rolls on in high school sports. In the Coach's Corner, we're joined by the man looking to lead his girls basketball team on another deep postseason run. Plus, our athlete of the week is a senior leader for the Plainfield Quakers.
I had to work for every single minute that I had, and ultimately I feel like that helped me in the end.
We're celebrating an all-new Zone Extra right now.
Good evening and welcome to the Zone Extra. I'm Andrew Chernoff. What a great week of high school sports action we had across Central Indiana. In the Coach's Corner, his Wildcats are ranked 8th in the state and gearing up for sectionals next week. Lawrence North girls basketball coach Stephen Thomas is here in studio. Plus, it's a family affair at Plainfield for our athlete of the week. We'll introduce you to Quakers senior Peyton Benj. And our top play of the week comes courtesy of the Franklin Grizzly Cubs. Now let's take a look at this week in high school sports. Last Friday was a busy night of high school basketball across Central Indiana. The game at North Central went down to the wire with number 2 Lawrence North picking up a 2-point win over the Panthers. Meanwhile, at Brownsburg, the Dogs hosted unbeaten Westfield, and it was Brownsburg which left the gym with a 62-56 upset over the Rocks. At Carmel, the Hounds jumped out to a 16-0 lead on the way to a 30-point victory over Pike. And at Avon, the Hendricks County champion Orioles hosted number 1 Fishers. This game belonged to the Tigers as they remain unbeaten on the season with an impressive 32-point victory. So here's a look at the Class 4A boys basketball poll for the week. Fishers, number 1. Lawrence North, number 2. Westfield, Lake Central, and Noblesville, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, respectively. Meanwhile, Monday night was the city championship. Crispus Attucks facing Cathedral in a rematch of last year's final. First quarter, Tigers looking good. Chris Hurt from behind the arc. Attucks up 10 at the half. Third quarter, Cathedral responds off the miss. Brady Kaler lays it in. This game was tied after 3. To the 4th we go. Tigers drive, kick it to Desmond Briscoe from downtown. Attucks by 7. Cathedral needs a timeout. Later in the quarter, Attucks nearly turns it over, but Ron Rutland dishes to Briscoe. He makes that every time. Tigers up by 6. 5 seconds to play. Cathedral down 3. LeBron Goff for the tie. Off the front of the rim. Crispus Attucks wins the city championship for a 2nd straight year. It beats Cathedral 71-68.
It's big. I mean, you always want to be able to defend the title. Just shows that the kids are connected. They play with a purpose. These are one of our goals when we set out at the beginning of the preseason. We want to defend this championship, and we were able to mark that one off.
Feel great, man. Talented team, tough team, hard-working team. We knew we had to do the whole game. We know they was going to throw a punch, we had to throw one back. It's a great feeling. 2 times, city championships. Now with job not finished, so we coming for the state championship.
And congratulations to Kokomo's Flory Badunga, who was this week named a McDonald's All-American, the only player from the state of Indiana to make the 24-man roster. He's a Kansas commit. He's averaging 18 points, 13 rebounds, and over 4 blocks per game for the 14-3 Wildcats. In girls basketball, hard to believe, but it's the final week of the regular season. Teams learning their postseason paths last weekend with the sectional draw. The tournament begins next Tuesday. Just crazy. Friday night, it was a Hoosier Crossroads showdown as Brownsburg hosted Westfield. Fourth quarter, under 30 seconds to play. Avery Gordon inside, lays it up for the Dogs. We go to overtime. In the extra period, Rocks down 2. Ellie Keller off the inbound, scores to tie the game. Then watch this, she steals the pass. Westfield takes the lead. Game tied then. Final seconds. Delaney steers the miss, but Gordon there to put it in at the buzzer. Brownsburg wins an overtime thriller, 59-57, the final. Saturday evening, it was number 1 Hamilton Southeastern hosting number 5 Center Grove. Second quarter, Trojans swinging around to the corner where Ava Grant buries the 3 Center Grove up by 14. HSE not going away. Maya Makaluski for 3 to end the first half. That brings the Royals within 6. The future Hoosier had 32 points in the game. Fourth quarter, Center Grove quickly up the floor. It's Grant who gets the basket here and draws the foul. Trojans win their 14th game in a row. The final 74-58. With last week's results, a bit of a shakeup in the girls basketball Class 4A poll. Number 1, Lawrence Central. Number 2, Center Grove. Columbia City, Fort Wayne, Snyder, and Hamilton Southeastern round out the top 5. To the mat, where the wrestling regular season is in the books, and that means it's tournament time. Postseason action begins across the state with sectionals on Saturday. So here's a look at the wrestling state tournament schedule. January 27th, sectionals. February 3rd, regionals. Semi-state then takes place February 10th. And then the state finals, February 16th and 17th in Evansville. Not at Gainbridge Fieldhouse this year because that's the same weekend as the NBA All-Star Game. Time for a break, but we have much more ahead on the Zone Extra. Up next, it's the Coach's Corner. His Wildcats are having another great season as they prepare for next week's state tournament. Lawrence North coach Stephen Thomas here in studio. And still ahead, she's the only senior on the Plainfield girls basketball team, a team that has high hopes for the postseason. We'll introduce you to our Athlete of the Week.
This is the Zone Extra, presented by Franciscan Health Sports Medicine. This is the Zone Extra Coach's Corner.
Welcome back to the Zone Extra. Time now for Coach's Corner. His Wildcats are currently ranked 8th in the state as they gear up for the start of sectionals next week. Let's welcome in Lawrence North girls basketball head coach Stephen Thomas. Stephen, appreciate the time, my friend.
Hey, thank you. Thanks you for having us. It's always a pleasure to be able to represent Lawrence North and our girls basketball program. So thank you.
Anytime. Always have a blast having you in the studio. Let's talk about your Lawrence North Wildcats. Right now, what do you like about how your team is playing?
Oh, they've just bought in. Like our schedule has been tremendously difficult and one of the best in the state. And we challenge and just trust that process. And I continue to tell them to appreciate the journey. And they've bought in and they've bought into each other. So it's just one of those times that you want to be playing your best basketball at the right time. And we're heading in that direction and very confident. And we've taken on a lot of the state's best, teams, and that's prepared us to get ready for this moment, this one-game season.
Well, you took on literally the state's best team based on the polls last week, beating number 1 HSE, moving them down the poll to number 5. What did that win do for your team's confidence, I think, going forward?
Absolutely. I think it solidified us a seat at that table with the state's best, right? Like, you know at this time of the year, everybody's getting geared up, everybody's getting better, and there's sleepers and there's people coming. And that's the best thing about Hoosier basketball, right, in the state of Indiana, and then high school basketball here in the state. Is this time of year, traditionally, anybody and everybody can get beat at that time, but you just, you trust the process, and you hear a lot of coaches talk about that process, and, it's been fun, and being able to beat some of the top teams, it's just let us know that, we deserve a place there to be our very best and have our shot.
Because of what you guys accomplished last year, making that deep postseason run, has that changed the mentality maybe of this group heading into the postseason?
Absolutely. It's definitely kind of like the draw 4 card in your back pocket in Uno, and one of those things. Exactly. It's just you play the game, but you gain those experience, and we were able to roll that experience over with a lot of our players. We lost Monica Williams, Lanaya Early, Michaela Washington-Cobb, and those 3 seniors. But what they did in leadership and what they planted into these younger groups, you're starting to see those things grow into fruition now, and we're just excited to keep on moving forward.
This is your second year as head coach of the Lawrence North girls basketball program. I'm sure time flies. It's hard to believe this is already almost done with year 2. You've been on staff for a while before that. How have you changed now as a head coach in year 2 maybe compared to year 1?
I think I'm a little calmer. I think my girls will laugh hysterically at that, but again, you get just experience, right? You get put in different situations. We were put in situations this year where game winners were things that we weren't in so much of last year. And, you know, as a coach, you just get to earn your stripes in those moments, and your players earn those stripes in those moments. And again, it's just a part of the process, and appreciating that journey along the way, and knowing the destination and our goals is a state championship. But just being able to put that 1% forward every single day.
So you said you're calmer this year, but we're joking that the players would say that they may not use that word. Would their word maybe be intense?
Intense. I think, you know, focused. You know, a lot of the things that, you know, I try to inspire them through different ways. But they know that I've got their back. I know that they have my back, and we're a big, happy family along. And you know, I learn from them, and they learn from me, and it's a trust thing, and I am honored to be able to be their leader and their head coach, and that they buy into, you know, what I talk about and what I try to instill in them on the court and off the court. I couldn't be prouder of being the head coach of Lawrence North.
Sectional draws came out, and you guys, I think it's fair to say the sectional is, it's a tough little sectional that your team is playing in. Let's take a look at that. Sectional 10, North Central takes on Warren Central on the 30th, and then the 31st, there are the Wildcats. Lawrence North against Cathedral. Attucks plays Lawrence Central. Your initial thoughts when you look at that sectional?
Gauntlet, honestly, you know, traditionally, historically, that sectional 10 is always boys, girls. You know, there's other very tough sectionals. I won't take anything away from anybody, but if you look at that list, you know, North Central is a very good program. Warren Central is always a good, you know, state championship program. The rise of Lawrence Central, you know, we're very proud of Lawrence and what both of our programs have been able to do for our township. But it's just one of those things, you know that you're going to face the state's best, and you got to be prepared. You got to be, you know, the will to prepare and put that process in. And you know, we're just thankful for the wins and the experiences and everything that we get to do against such great programs. And
then real quick, Stephen, we have about 15 seconds left, but the success of the Lawrence North boys program, what your program is doing, what's it like just around that school right now?
It's great. I mean, it's part of our, we coined a tradition of excellence. It's part of our DNA and what we take pride in. And there's a lot of excitement and buzz, and you know, it's all about our kids though, and being able to represent and serve those community, our community, in our best way forward. You know, couldn't be prouder.
Yeah, a lot of people proud of the job that this guy has been doing with that Lawrence North girls basketball program. Stephen Thomas, appreciate the time, my friend, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Anytime. Still ahead on the Zone Extra, it's our Athlete of the Week. She's the senior leader of the Hendricks County Champs. Coming up, meet Plainfield senior Peyton Benge. Plus, we go on campus to Purdue to catch up with last year's Indiana Miss Basketball runner-up, Rashunda Jones.
This is the Zone Extra, presented by Franciscan Health Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to the Zone Extra. It's a family affair at Plainfield High School for our Athlete of the Week, who also happens to be the only senior on the Hendricks County champion girls basketball team. Peyton Benge averages 13 points per game for the Quakers. She also is the team's leading rebounder at over 6 per game. Oh yeah, she leads the team in blocks as well. It's a special season for Peyton as she gets ready to play one final year for her dad, longtime Quakers head coach Kurt Benge, before heading to Spring Arbor University next year. Peyton played golf growing up. She says she was late getting into basketball, but is proud of her growth at Plainfield.
When I came in as a freshman, I wasn't as skilled as I was now, obviously, but I had to work for every single minute that I had, and ultimately I feel like that helped me in the end, because my senior year, I still am trying to work for what I get.
She didn't come in anointed as a freshman. She's somebody that's had to work for it. She's gone from a bench player that played sparingly as a freshman and sophomore to a key contributor the last 2 years. So watching that development, I mean, it's why you coach. You want to see kids get better and continue to improve both off the floor and on the floor. Well,
I had to step into a leadership role this year. I did that last year as well, but this was more important to me because we have a lot of freshmen that came in, and I feel like them stepping into their role, I needed to help them get into it.
I think with her, unlike my other two, I probably did push, especially with basketball, and I'm sure there's things she doesn't want to hear, at times, but I think at the end of the day, we have a really solid relationship.
I mean, obviously, no relationship is perfect. So, like, whenever we get into like a little quarrel about what I need to get better at, I always need to make sure that I just remember that he's doing it for me and to help me. I know that he's just trying to make me better.
Time for a break, but still more to come on the Zone Extra, including our play of the week. Plus, it's the latest installment of Ask the Commissioner with Paul Neidig of the IHSAA.
This is the Zone Extra, presented by Franciscan Health Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to the Zone Extra. Time to go on campus where we catch up with a former Indiana high school athlete as he or she competes at the collegiate level. This week we head to West Lafayette with the Purdue women's basketball team. Freshman Rashunda Jones was one of 5 Boilers in double figures on Sunday, scoring 13 points off the bench in a 6-point loss to 16th ranked IU. The former South Bend Washington star and Indiana Miss Basketball runner-up is averaging 10 points per game in her first college season. Jones says she's grateful for the trust shown in her by both the Purdue coaching staff and her teammates.
Just staying confident, just knowing that my team has my back, good or bad. Coaches, they don't see me as like a regular freshman, like, oh, we're just going to sit you in a corner like most teams do or something like that. I'm here to help this team win. I'm here to bring the energy and bring everything. So going into this game, I didn't want to fear anything or look scared or be anything, because then that's how you'll come out playing. You'll come out playing timid if you're scared. So I just came out and I just thought attack, attack, attack.
Now it's time for Ask the Commissioner. Each week we take one of your questions to IHSAA Commissioner Paul Neidig and bring you his answer. Here's this week's question. What did you take away from the recently completed girls wrestling season, and what are the next steps for the sport?
Well, the girls are in their second year as an emerging sport at the IHSAA, which is really a new program that we've only had for a couple of years, and they're one of the first programs to go through this along with boys volleyball. And what we've seen is what we anticipated. We've seen huge numbers. The sport has grown. It's grown rapidly, and I think we're well in excess of 800 girls wrestling across the state now, which puts them in a position now where we go before our board of directors this spring. There's a very good possibility that the girls wrestling could become fully recognized, and we'll offer the full state tournament with the same trophies as every other sport gets here at the IHSAA. And we're excited about that, for the opportunity to come before our state to watch the girls wrestle just like the boys get to.
That would be awesome. Thanks again to the Commissioner for joining us. Here's how you can submit questions. Send us a tweet using the hashtags #TheZoneExtra and AskTheCommish, and your question could be used on a future show. Now it's time to take a look at our play of the week. Each week we feature one of the top plays from the world of high school sports here in Central Indiana. Plus we want you to get involved, so be sure to tweet us your videos. Here's this week's top play. Franklin hosting Whiteland, rivalry game, tied in overtime. Micah Davis for the win. It's good at the buzzer. Let's take a look at this one more time from Micah Davis. Wow. The Grizzly Cubs are 12-2 on the season. Now our crew see a lot of action, but we want to see your best plays every week too, so send them our way. And don't forget to vote for the Zone Basketball Player of the Week. Here are this week's nominees: Brownsburg senior Grant Porath, Franklin senior Micah Davis, who you just saw, Lawrence North junior Xavier Robinson, and Westfield senior Trey Buchanan. Voting on WishTV.com is open through tomorrow afternoon, and we will announce the winner on The Zone tomorrow night at 11:08. And MyNDTV is your local home for high school sports. Coming up tomorrow night, it's a good one in the MIC. 9-5 North Central hits the road to face 9-7 Warren Central. Both teams looking to bounce back from close losses last week. You can see all the action live on MyNDTV tomorrow starting at 7:30. And it's a big night of high school basketball across Central Indiana. We'll have highlights from 10 games plus all of the local scores and more on The Zone beginning at 11:08. Let's take a look at some of the games we'll be covering on The Zone. Number 1 Fishers against Franklin Central. Carmel versus the defending state champs in Ben Davis. Avon versus Westfield. HSC against Noblesville. And Bishop Chatard against 3A number 2 Verbuck. That's going to do it for the Zone Extra. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to tune in again next Thursday night for a brand new episode. And we'll see you tomorrow night, 11:08 for The Zone. Have a great night.